Water Buffalo TM is back with another Buff Talk.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Old School Matt here, back with another Buff Talk. Today I'm joined by co-host Mike's Workouts, training partner of mine, good friend of mine, great personal trainer. What's going on, Mike?
All good, man. Always good to have you and to be here at your podcast. So we always have really good conversations. So I'm really excited to talk about this.
To have me, bro. I'm having you. No, I'm just kidding. Mike's
To
sitting
be
in,
here.
Mike's sitting in the boss seat right now.
Yeah.
But now we wanted to get together today, talk a little bit about business. Mike's a pretty successful personal trainer. We kind of work in the same industry, doing some different things, and we wanted to just kind of talk about our experience doing, small business type of stuff. And we're both trying to grow our personal stuff and our brands and whatnot, and just kind of talk about our experience and how we kind of got into this stuff. Mike's got a really interesting background, and for those of you guys who haven't watched previous podcasts, Mike came here after living in Venezuela for quite some time and kind of came up the ranks, and a really interesting story. So let's start there, bro. Like, we've talked about it before, but what was the transition to personal training? Because we kind of prefaced this before when we were talking property management and stuff, and then whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning it was just I have always worked out and stuff like that, but just when I got here and see this is a country that you can do anything that you want and that you really love, and you still make a good money, that you don't need to. For example, in Venezuela, there is always fall to professions that you need to do, if you want to get good money, and it's always probably also there is some idea here, but on there will be you need to go to medical school, or you need to go and study to become an engineer or a lawyer. There is a similar idea here, but you can still, take a more entrepreneurial route on your life, and, still make a good money opening your own business, or do something smaller and a smaller idea, smaller scale. No, don't have that commitment into a profession and still make a good living. So for me, it was a transition of looking somebody that I really love and try to make a business out of it. And in this case, it was working out, nutrition, try to help people, and also, become the better version of themselves in those two areas.
I would say that on your come up, not being here, did that kind of hold you back from things? One of the things that I found is really something that people really get scared about is opening an LLC or opening a business, and it's probably one of the easiest things you could do, applying for EIN. Was that something that kind of scared you? Because that kind of scared me for a while too, is like when people say these big words and stuff and tax write-offs and stuff. Yeah. But then when you understand it, it's not as scary as what it seems, right?
Yeah. No, it's not scary at all. And for me, it was a little more having the information, just because I don't want to say but sometimes I don't want to say disadvantage, but sometimes I feel I run in some type of disadvantage just because I haven't I didn't grow up here, or I don't have I didn't come all through my lifetime with the information of how things are run over here. So we just always trying to look for more, trying to look for the information on what to do. So it's not a disadvantage. It's just I'm running a little behind in new things and new ideas on how business run. So for me, it was more I started working on gyms, and they always hire me as an independent contractor. Mm-hmm. So just kind of by working through the years, a couple of years on the road, on the line, independent contractor. Okay, just for me, it was looking okay, there must be a different way to approach this. Not just me being hired as independent contractor, but they hire me as a company. So it's kind of okay, always looking for the information of how to change things for better. Now that I'm an independent LLC, I can, get brighter on doing taxes, or, grow on a bigger scale on my business and things like that.
What is the one of the things that kind of helped you learn? I know you have an accountant you work with, which was she helpful? Yeah. Online, obviously online, but anyone specific?
Online, information online for sure. Most of accountants are useful for sure, but you only meet them once a year, and they can throw little ideas on you. Okay, that you should be doing this and stuff like that. And probably she was the first one approaching the idea that I should open my own LLC. But it was just an idea. It's not like she's working with me or she's working for me to make that happen. You see what I'm saying? She gave me a little recommendation, and she also charged for the transaction and a lot of money, on my opinion. And when you can do it like on your own very easily, go to the website and do it on your own, like for the fee that's
The
like
LLC?
150 and something like that.
I helped someone do it the other day.
She charges, I don't know, maybe
charged
like
you?
800. No, she didn't do it for me. I did it on my own. But she charged I don't know, $800, $600 to do it.
I've had a couple people that I've helped do that just on the side with the little consulting firm I have. Everything Works. I've done that for free with people because I don't want to like steal, bro. I feel like so bad. There's a couple things you can do. Like you can write up operating agreements. Like if you want to have like a partnership and stuff like that, like it gets complicated. If you want to do like an S Corp, there's some paperwork that goes behind that. But like to start an LLC, if people charge like, I know people charge $1,000. It's like literally filling out a form and then like clicking some boxes. Like, do you want a certificate? Do you want an X, Y, and Z? And people get very scared. But thankfully, like YouTube and stuff, because that's how I learned how to do it. I wasn't taught how to form an LLC in college. It was YouTube, online, talking to people in the field, like that aren't scumbags. Because like, bro, I mean, I'm not trying to say you're counting as a scumbag, but like I've seen people want to charge like thousands to like help start your LLC or help get your EIN, which is like free online. But I think it scares a lot of people, and a lot of people are like, I don't want to worry about that. Just you do it. You do it. You know what I'm saying? So what do you kind of have the same opinion? It's like very easy. It's not.
No, it's very easy. Everybody should do it, and everybody should look, kind of like look a little more information and advantage that you have as a business owner and doing it, and being an independent contractor.
What are the differences? Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. But.
Well, you are able to just like the write off on and try to grow a little more on the business side, and working under a name, but working. I think there is also some advantage in into the liabilities. Having a little more advantage on liabilities. You don't take like risk on your own, but it's the company taking the risk and not yourself. And that kind of stuff. Just because you're gonna be able to grow a more business than if you will be like independent person.
Did you ever have a conversation with your bosses to be employee, or was it always independent contractor?
No, always independent contractor. Just because also like I've always worked with like for small gyms and stuff like that. Like I guess a small LLCs and of their own, and it's advantage for them to hire me as independent contractor just because they don't have to pay taxes for me, or they don't have to pay an insurance, or all that kind of stuff, all the kind of implications that they will be if they hire me like a W-2 regular employee.
Gotcha. I would say that for people out there that are making money doing something, definitely to start an LLC. I mean, the tax benefits that you get from starting an LLC, and like you said, the being able to kind of have that risk management of not being liable for certain things and not having your personal name or your personal credit at risk, is worth I think it's like $150 something, and then like I think 125 or something yearly to continue. And a lot of people don't know about it, and it's kind of like lack of awareness. But it's good because if you have a full-time position, like myself, you're able to take off some of that tax bill by being able to write off some of the stuff, but also consult with like a tax advisor or something, because as much as I'm an accountant, I'm not a tax specialist or somebody that's going to give tax advice. But for the most part, I would say for 99% of the people out there that have some sort of side hustle or are an independent contractor, to go and form an LLC. There's obviously other types of businesses, S Corp, C Corp. You can form partnerships with an LLC, but if you're just like single person like Mike, or let's say you go and like clean pools or something for a bigger company, definitely take the step in trying to do that. I think that's a really good move on your end. And it took some time, right, to do that, just because you were like hesitant, or
I mean, not hesitant, but like what I said, like looking for information, and I was just pushing it far and down on the line, and I don't know, bro, just like slacking, like it will be the perfect word. Just like I never did it, and just until recently, and for sure it'll be me like way more benefits. I feel like also adds a little more professionalism to your business and to your what you do, than instead of just selling yourself. So like it's more formality.
Yeah, and we were talking about that before we talked about the podcast. Is like a lot of business, especially in nowadays, is like theater in a sense. Like you kind of have to play like this part. It's business has always kind of been like that, but nowadays especially is like that. It's like we talked about it with Water Buffalo because I don't have an actual location. I feel like I've had conversations with people at gyms and they're like, "Oh, do you have a shop?" And if you have a shop, for some reason it feels like more legitimized. Like you have more like you're more than what you are. And I'm not trying to say that if you don't have a shop or you don't have an in-person place, you're not, because there's tons of big businesses that are online, that are run from homes and whatnot. But people kind of like that sense of like legitimacy. Like if you have LLC behind your name, now all of a sudden you're a hot shot. Like people think you're differently, which is not really a difference in terms of like the way the business is running. Obviously you get benefits from having an LLC or having a legitimized business entity, but people like that. I see, and a lot of people like try to like flex that too. I don't know if you've seen that. Like they put like LLC in their Instagram. It's like, you know, right? Am I right or wrong?
For me, it looks funny.
Yeah, I think it's kind of goofy too. But yeah, people like see that as like, you know, you're legit, and nothing has changed.
No, same thing.
Things behind the doors have changed, but like nothing has changed to the people.
Yeah.
If you say, and I think I've had that before. Like there was a period where I was doing Water Buffalo and didn't have an LLC probably for like 8 months, and people would ask like, "Oh, you're an LLC?" And they still ask to this day, "Oh, are you an LLC? Are you an LLC?" I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, but it doesn't matter as much to you. It matters more to me, but not to you.
What we're just selling is the same thing.
Sure. All right. Have you had that happen to you before?
No, not really. Just because my survey is like very one-on-one, so I don't think they really care as much. For sure, when I open like own location and stuff like that, it will matter a little more. But at least right now, no.
Yeah, people have like this sense of consumer, like, and it's good. It's good to be like asking questions about stuff. But some people are very particular about certain words and things that you hear, like the word LLC, like, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. Another thing for me I've gotten is like supplements. Most supplements, especially sports nutrition supplements, are not FDA approved because the process, I'm sure you know this too, the process to get FDA approved is like 10 years long, or it's just like very long. Yeah. So most supplements out there are not FDA approved, and people will be really turned off when they hear that you're not FDA approved. But I would say like the vast majority of supplements in the industry are not FDA approved.
Yeah.
Like the labs that I make the supplements for Water Buffalo at, they're FDA certified labs, to where the FDA has come in there and checked and made sure. But I know the FDA approval process is a long process.
Yeah, and I think they're not even required to be approved.
No, they're not.
So,
but people, I've had that question before to me. It's like, "Oh, you guys aren't FDA approved. I don't want to." But I'm like, most things aren't FDA approved. That are supplements. Yeah, like foods are obviously FDA approved. But like, if you go and drink like a muscle milk, that's not FDA approved. I don't know. Maybe they are, but
no, they're not. They're not the biggest brand. Yeah, like I cannot recall like off the top of my mind like any supplement that is FDA approved, just because they don't want to go through the old process, you know, of making it approved or anything.
Have you ever run into anyone who's given you any issues, like when you first started Mike's Workouts, about like your knowledge or like what you do? Like, had anyone ever questioned you or your integrity on what you do?
Yeah, like small example, like for like clients like doubting, like why we be doing these many repetitions, or why are we doing this workout, or why you did this exercise, or things like that. And maybe also like around pricing, people like, oh, like, no, I'm not willing to pay that price, and things like that. On that sense, yeah. And I feel like you're always gonna have it. You're always gonna have it as a trainer. You're always gonna have it in any kind of business that you have. I mean, pricing is always gonna be big. And and this type of service as a personal trainer, or maybe you're a consultant and things like that, they're always gonna like check on you, like doubt a little bit, like why, and stuff like that, and start asking questions.
How did you combat that earlier? I feel like, again, time is very important for a business, and it's a very it's like perception, right? Like people want to see you've been in it for a while. Even if nothing has changed, you should always be growing. But even if nothing in your knowledge has changed, the fact that you've been doing it for, let's say, 2 years versus like 5 years, people all of a sudden, like, because you've been doing it for 5 years, let's just say even nothing has changed, right? They're like, oh, wow, this guy's got, like, the mind thing is really important. And especially years like that, they equate to years to knowledge, which is true in some instances, but it's not in others. I know a lot of people that have had their careers, been career accountants, financial people that couldn't even tell you like the most basic finance stuff. I've been doing it for 25 years, but haven't done anything for 25 years meaningful, versus like younger people that maybe have been doing it 3 to 5 years, but are really dedicated, and they're like there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've come across that too. People have questioned, you know, the legitimacy and the price and whatnot, not just with Water Buffalo, but other things about what I've done. And I try to stay fair in the pricing for everything I do, because I know that's part of the formula of doing business is like, oh, you're only 23 years old. What do you know? You know what I'm saying? Not saying that I know everything. I don't know anything, but, no, like people, just because someone's older, just because someone's, you know, has that age advantage on you, doesn't always necessarily mean that they're smarter than you or they know better than you, you know?
Nah, yeah, 100%. I mean, that'll be the easiest thing to fall to, like years of experience of somebody. But if you're not hungry, if you're not like willing, a lot of things change with time, like technology now, a lot of information, even the fitness industry, maybe in growing your business, a lot of constantly change. If you are somebody that have 10 years in the business and you haven't had the hunger to, you know, update yourself and still learning, you're gonna get like fall behind, you know. You're gonna fall behind, and your years of experience are gonna be worthless. So yeah, exactly. I don't know, it's hard to tell people like what to do is always gonna matter, years of experience, but they should look a little farther than that, you know.
Yeah, I think achievements is a better
achievements. Yeah, I like that.
And people like that. People vouching and people standing up for others, like, oh no, I've worked out with Mike before. Mike's great. Yeah, you know that's helpful. Not necessarily so much years. Yeah, because I've been in an industry to where I've worked with people that have been doing what I do in the financial world for 20 years, 25 years, but like ask them to open up like the most basic finance application, Microsoft Excel, and they're like lost. They're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And you're like, and that's why I had a conversation with somebody the other day, is like, if I ran or when I run a big company, I would much rather hire younger talent than older talent, because younger talent, one, they don't have any children. They don't have like a lot of financial responsibility in terms of like, they haven't collected a lot of debt. If they're in debt, they're hungry to learn. Yeah. And they're also able to like outperform old people. Like young people, we have energy, bro. Like, 100%. You know, I've seen young sales teams, like people that are selling, and that's one of the areas that you want young people in there. Yep. Because they'll work 6 to 6. You know, the old person might be like, oh, I have my doctor's appointment, or my back hurts, or this and that. If you find really hungry young people, and maybe have like 1 or 2 people that have the experience to teach the young people, that's an effective team, in my opinion, than having a lot of people with, you know, Facebook or, you know, YouTube on their resume or whatever. That might help in some like businesses, but in some it doesn't. And I've seen it hurt in some businesses. People that have like the top quality resumes, they think because they come from like big business that they just like kick their feet up and like just chill, right? So I think the same thing comes to like your business too. Like I'd rather have like one day when I'm blessed to be able to hire people to work for me, I want to hire young guys, because you can pay them like, not that you're gonna pay them like shit, but you can pay them a little bit less, but they'll return 1,000 times more than some old person feeling like they're entitled to money because they have experience. 100%.
And I couldn't agree more, just because that's one of the thoughts that I always has on business, and I see it firsthand experience. And something that I have always thought, whenever I have like my first location, I will actually and on the fitness industry, on the gym, I have seen them, and old trainers, they come with, you know, already I don't know how to say it, but like the years they've been working, they get kind of lazy, you know.
Yeah.
So they're not hungry. They have like proven themselves and stuff like that. But you know, the people that you have seen, like they have the more of hunger and they want to prove themselves. There are people that are interested in fitness and then they not even certified trainers, or they not even have their first client, and but they always want to improve. So one of the mistakes that I have seen on the gyms that I have worked with and that I have worked for, it's kind of like they hire these young kids, hunger for like being in the fitness industry, like they're willing to do anything, like clean the gym or work in the front desk, being underpaid and stuff like that. Those are the ones that you should be like hiring as a personal trainer, or offering them like, oh, let me help you to, you know, get certified. Let me help you to, you know, grow this career that you want, because they are there being underpaid and doing, you know, very little kind of job, like very, very hard, and just like cleaning and stuff like that, and just for being in a gym. So just like take that chance of having that hunger, that young people, train them, help them to get certified, help them to get the training that they need, and use them as a trainer, because they will be willing to go through that.
Yeah. The right young people is like the key.
Yeah.
Sometimes people might make the argument that like young people are just lazy and they want to party and have fun. That's true. There's a lot of people out there that are young that don't give a fuck about work. But like, for example, myself, yourself, other young guys like ourselves are probably like the best employees you could have, because we have some experience. We're not like, we don't have 20 years of experience because we were 3 years old 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't have that. It's the time thing. But younger guys that you know have potential and that have proven themselves are like the best employees that you could ever have, in my opinion. Like, when I have a company one day when I'm older, I'm strictly going to hire young, hungry guys.
100%.
And the last thing I wanted to say was that one of the biggest things that someone told me why is because kids in life, when people get older, if they're not dedicated to their craft, they want to enjoy life, which is not bad. It's great to enjoy life, but they have other responsibilities. A young guy, he has nothing on his mind other than trying to make money and become successful.
Nothing to lose, man.
Exactly. What else though? Like, in terms of business, what else have you come across that has been like problematic in your journey of like creating this personal training brand for yourself?
People maybe thinking too much about competition, man. Like what's the other doing, or worrying too much about like gyms around them and try to, you know, do wrong to them or things like that. Or between trainers, if you are in the same location, or like he has more clients than me and stuff like that. People focus too much on like what the other one is doing, and like not worrying so much about their own thing, you know. There is always I like to not look around, like from other trainers and stuff like that, the good or the bad. I just like to focus on myself, and I feel like that have given me like pretty good results, and I feel like that kind of like gets you the focus side of, you know, like kind of like being more like a hater type of thing.
You run across trainers that are giving you a hard time?
Yeah, man. All through my through this career, man. Especially like with older trainers. With older trainers, they come like have more time on the locations that I'm at, and they always come with new older trainers and trying to teach me how like the business is run and stuff like that. Like trying to become like my mentors, according to them, and things like that. And just like I laugh myself, bro. Like,
yeah, I don't really mind advice from older people per se. Like, I like getting advice from older generation, but I know what you mean when like they like give you that almost like unnecessary type of advice. Like, they're like, well, back in my day, you know, I'd done this, and they're kind of like pushy with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, for sure, I'm the same way. I will take it if it's in a good way. If they're doing it like generally and trying to help me, but then they're done, man. They just come with this bad energy. They see me young. They see me with these many clients, or you know, this personality that I don't really care what they're doing. I just like go and do my job and try to do the best as I can, and in that moment that I'm with people, and I'm not focusing so much on what other people is doing. So they see me with this personality, and they just try to, you know, it's kind of like pushing me, like trying to, you know, get me out of the way and push me down and stuff like that.
Thankfully, I haven't run across that too much.
Yeah,
but I know what you mean. Like, I've had times where people have been like kind of like give you like backhand snarky comments about like your business. Like, I think there was one time like a supplement brand online. Like, I mean, we're a supplement brand, but we're still very young in our business.
Yeah.
And there was something with like someone posted a picture of like my shirt with their product or something. And like they got upset. I'm like, dude, like, why are you fighting with me? This is like a company that's like Redcon 1 level. Like, you should be competing against them. I'm not doing anything to harm you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. Like, unnecessary competition. Obviously, like, if you scale and you're, you know, a big business and there's other businesses literally trying to take you out, of course, there's competition is a big thing. But like, when we're still in the elementary phases of trying to grow our careers, like, there's no need to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I know what you mean though. Like, older guys like coming in here and trying to like assert their dominance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, if you have to do that at that point in your life, then you're definitely not successful. You know what I'm saying?
You're definitely not, man. And that's what I'm trying to transmit. Like, don't do it yourself. I mean, you're always gonna have people doing it to you, but like, don't waste time doing it yourself. Don't worry about too much what other people is doing. Just focus on your own. You can take some positive things, so, you know, okay, maybe this is doing these little things, and he managed the clients a little bit, and you know, you can get some advice and maybe like look them up and try to imitate it yourself in your own way. But like, if you waste too much time on to like what other people is doing, you're just gonna take focus out of your business. You see what I'm saying? And trying to put people down. There is enough food for everybody to eat.
Yeah, I agree.
In any kind of business, not just like personal training.
For sure. And again, like what you said, just kind of saying what you're saying, like just putting emphasis on there. Like, just definitely not worrying about anybody else, because everyone's going to grow at a different level. If you look at it on like a macro level, like if you zoom out, like the months and the years, if you're 1 year behind your goal, if you're 5 years behind your goal, like if you're not there yet, if you continue at it, you'll get there. As long as you're putting the work in. Obviously, if you're lazy and you're not doing what you have to do, then don't expect to make it anywhere. But if you know that you're doing what you're doing and you're making improvements to where you're wrong in business and life, whatever, then eventually you'll get there. Don't look about like other people's journeys and stuff, because you can look around and be really upset right away. I mean, there's plenty of people out there, bro, that start a business and like 6 months from now they're making like $1 million a year, and you're like, fuck, why am I not doing that? It's happened to me a lot. Like, I see people all the time, like very successful, doing a lot of shit online, and I'm like, damn, I got to get there. But then I think about it, I'm like, that's not my journey yet. You know, maybe I'm not in the same spot as them. I also like to think about it like from like God's perspective in a way, like a religious perspective is like God knows like how strong you are as an individual, and a lot of times God maybe the people that are doing better faster aren't as strong as you, doesn't have the same will. So God blesses them so they don't get off their path. You know, maybe God knows like, hey, I know this guy, he's strong, he'll wait it out for 5 years. He'll grind for 10 years, you know. So I know you can do it, that's why I'm putting you on this path. Maybe some people aren't as lucky, they're not like that, they won't have that willpower, so that's maybe why they get things earlier. You know, life is very interesting. So that definitely
I agree with you. I mean, no, I'm not as religious with you as you are, but that's one of my mottos on life. You're going through life on the terms that you need to go through, and you know, you're always gonna have your time to succeed, and then all the challenges you have in your way, it's just because you're capable of going through that. So I totally agree.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, Mike, you probably had this come before too, even if it's not personal training wise, is like people that are very talkers in business, but they never like do anything. That's my biggest enemy. I hate people like that. And I love them for their energy, but I hate that sometimes people will tell you things and waste your time. I've had many phone calls, many friends of mine, and it might just be an age thing, but they're talkers. They're like, bro, let's do this. We have this crazy business. Well, let's put together a plan. Well, and then like a week later, you never hear from them again. You know?
Yeah, just on that sense, like business ideas and, you know, startups and stuff like that.
In a way, more like they dream the dream, but they never like actually do anything to like accomplish that, and they try to bring you into it. I've had many engagements. I don't make this mistake anymore, to where like I've had friends of mine do startups and they want to like have investors involved. They're like, hey, can you help me out, or can we think about this? And then you're like, okay, let's do it. And then we're like, we'll get all this stuff done, and talk about it for like a week and then like it's gone.
Yeah.
That's also why I don't like, I try not to say business ideas as if I'm going to do them unless I actually have intentions on completing them. Because if I don't, then I feel like it's just a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because it gets me angry too. Like people talking so much about dreams and stuff like that, but don't follow into execution. Like don't even talk about it. Just like a waste of time. It's just like a waste of energy. But I feel like people like, and actually it's funny because I wanted to talk about this. More like a recommendation to people, but like I feel like people like false. Like they waste too much time in a plan and like, oh, to open up a business, I have to have a logo. I have to have a website. I have to have a location. I have to have this thing. And it's totally the opposite. You don't need anything but the first transaction. You know, you're in a business, you're trying to solve a problem. You're trying to offer something to people, make a sale. Just do the first one. Just do the first one and prove yourself that you can do it. Do a second one, do a third one, get some referrals, do stuff like that. And then you build from that. From making the money because you already have started like having the revenue to, you know, to even grow your business and do all these things. But if you start with big ideas and you put those obstacles on into getting started, like if you don't have a logo, I'm not going to get started. If I don't have a web page, I don't have to get started. Because when people think about opening a business, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Oh, what's the name? What's the logo? What's the, you know, let me make the Instagram accounts on things like that.
Yeah, business.
But
business
it's just like putting obstacle behind obstacle. They never get you started because it's too much to do. So it's just like if you go and just do the first transaction and focus on the transaction, then you can build from that.
I 100% agree. I think that I kind of did both when I first started a Water Buffalo as a brand. I wanted to look as legit as I could because I was 20 years old, 19 or whatever I was, and I had no idea how to conduct business. I didn't know anything about websites. I didn't know anything about shit. I didn't know anything. And I was trying to do that, but the thing that saved me was that I'm very curious. So like it didn't let it hold me back. Like if I didn't know how to make a logo, I went on YouTube and I tried to figure out how to make one myself. You know, if I didn't know how to make a website, I went on YouTube and said how to set up Shopify and spent like probably countless hours on like the dumbest things, like the smallest things that you could figure out. I spent hours on because I'm the people like to say where I work, I'm like a doer. The things that I talk about, I tend to do a lot of them. And that's one of the most important things you said is like, just start. Like who gives a shit what like happens? And a lot of people aren't like that. And it's kind of like, it's one of the things that holds them back a lot. There's a lot of people that are doers, kind of like me and you, like, fuck it, we want to do an Ironman this year. We're not going to say, okay, here's our 2-year plan on how, where like we sign up and let's just go, bro, whatever. Well, if we fail, we fail. Yeah. That's one of the personalities. There's another personality that's more of like what you said, like a planner and like someone that has everything set out and they want to be very organized, which is not bad. And a lot of people are very successful when it comes to that. But the problem with them is that sometimes they never start. Yeah. And the problem with people like me and you is sometimes we don't plan enough and we just do. And that's one of my biggest flaws is sometimes I just do things and I waste a lot of time because I'm doing things without thinking about what to do in the future. So it's like you have to kind of meet somewhere in the middle. It's like you have to be a planner, but you also have to be a doer. There has to be timelines. And that's why it's important to like, you know, when you have an idea, if it's feasible, jump on it, but don't do something like so stupid. Like don't. And a lot of people online are very motivational and they talk about this type of stuff. Like if you have your life savings, like go put it into a business. Like don't do that. Like I don't think that's a great idea. It might work out for like 1 out of 10 people, but you have to be very like aggressively patient. Like Patrick Bet-David, the guy we follow, I love his stuff. He says that all the time. Is like you have to be aggressively patient or patiently aggressive. One of the two. Like be aggressive, but be smart about like how you're aggressive. You know what I mean? And those are the things I've struggled with too. Like I've made dumbass decisions. I've bought things. I've done this. I've wasted money on things that maybe I could have like waited back a little bit. But that's one of the positives about my personality, your personality type of people is like when we say something, we'll start and we'll do it and we'll continue doing it. But the negative thing is that like you have to, and this is flipping the thing is like if you're someone like me and Mike, that personality, be careful. Like don't expend all your resources too quickly and just take your time. No one gives like as much as you think people are caring, it's not going to make a difference on your life. Like don't rush the start because you feel like, oh my God, I have to have this in line. I have to be just, you know, take it easy. Just, you know, be smart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the downside about like this kind of personalities and starting things too soon, and when you're not ready, just because it can burn you out, and it can also stank you and growing something a little bigger, you know. So yeah, it's just taking small step, man. It's taking a small step and understand like a bigger step, because it can make you fall down, or just stank into that bigger step and trying to make it work. So it's just yeah, I see life like little achievements, and actually also putting a timeline perspective of when to move next. That's also an idea that I also always take to when I start a new job and stuff like that. Okay, I kind of like this job, but for sure it's not where I'm gonna finish my career on. Just, you know, I'm gonna give it a year. And then on a year, I have to move on, just because I'm gonna feel like in a year, I have learned whatever I need to learn on that job, and I try to do it beforehand. And you know, in the first couple of weeks that I started, you know, trying to like figure out myself and into the timeline. Then the next job, okay, maybe on this one I have a little more to learn, a little more to grow, and okay, on this one it's gonna be about 2 years and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like putting in perspective a timeline into what you need to do, and how long it's going to take you to figure out a couple things to move into a next thing.
I have a question for you. Looking back, like what are some of the things that you would change if you could go back in time, or you wouldn't change anything?
I don't like to think about thinking back and trying to change anything, because I'm very grateful to where I'm at, to who I am, and like if I change something, I know like I will be in like totally different stuff, for better or for worse. So I don't know. I don't see myself being a different situation. Maybe probably don't waste so much time, man. Like sometimes, you know, it happens to everybody. You slack off on a couple things, you know, you push them out, you never do them. So it's just like, you know, like fall through to what you want to do, like, and you know, be consistent with it. And those little things, you know?
That's a problem with personalities like us. Sometimes we put too much stuff down, and then like it doesn't, like we either do it, but we don't do it the best because we didn't have a plan. It happens to me a lot. I would say the biggest thing it has to do with time too. For me, is like the biggest advice, or I would go back in time, is like finding people, and they don't have to be experts. Like they could be people online or whatever, but find people that you can pay, or you can return a service for them, and ask them about their experiences. Like just if they're doing something that you're doing, ask them a little piece of advice. Like, hey, how can I get into this? If you're a trainer, how can I do, you know, what's the best type of contract that I can have someone sign? Is it better to have them sign for 6 months? Have it better sign, you know, month by month, whatever it is. Just get some advice, because a lot of times they'll tell you things that they have experienced. And if anyone's ever asked me a question about business, about whatever life, I don't hesitate to answer. I always answer, because I feel like it's going to help the community grow and be better. Like you said, it's not a competition between me and you, or me and the guy next door. I think everyone can have their space in life. So if someone asks me for advice, I'm always very open about it, as long as it's not going to take me years or days and shit like that. As long as it's like simple and stuff, I don't mind giving people free advice. I don't mind even just pointing people in the right direction, like, hey, check this out, or go here, or watch this video, or do this. It doesn't hurt, and that's my biggest thing. Is I was afraid to ask people for help, like along the way, and not even like free help. Like I had money to spare. I could spend $100 to pay someone to give me the best. You know how do I like the thing I was telling you about is like SMS messages. Like that was the thing that I was thinking about doing since beginning of 2021, and I waited all the way until now to do it, because I was afraid to like ask people for help. And honestly, the only reason why I figured it out is because I had a client of mine that I was helping build a Shopify, and they paid me to do that, so I figured it out. But that was like a big mistake, because I could have been making a lot of money sending SMS marketing messages, etc. Like there's a lot of things in every step of a business's lifeline that if you just asked one question to somebody, they would point you in the right direction, and you would save time. And time is important, because you want that time back to either enjoy life or use that time to work on the business even more. Right?
Yeah, and that falls into like there is there's a definite amount of time and so much to learn about like growing a business. I mean, it can go infinite, man, and all the things that you can learn about you as only one person, you cannot do it all. You know, if you want to like actually do it all, and trying to waste the time to learning every little thing, you're just never gonna start. And that's one of the things that I used to do. It's just like, okay, I want to learn about this, I want to learn about that, I want to learn about all like video editing, like personal training and stuff like that, and it's just like so different amount of time. And that's where I go back and I say like, okay, I put myself into all these things, but very few came like actually I pulled that through, you know, like I was doing so many courses. I was going to school. I was doing like my certifications, personal training. About the same time, I was doing like video editing. I was doing like Photoshop and stuff like that. And I only did like few of them at the same time. And it kind of like, it gets hard on yourself just because you didn't do it. But like you should have never put yourself in that situation at the first place, you know. And it's always better to have more connections. Like, okay, let me look for the people that it's already doing this, and they can help me with that. Even though if you need to pay, or you know, come like into a business agreement and things like that.
Yeah, find people that can help you out is 100%.
Yeah.
If it's free, do something for them, like help them out in a way. And I'm always happy to help anybody that offers me some sort of like trade. It doesn't have to be money, but if someone's like, hey bro, whatever, if you show me how to do this, I'll help you with Y if you help me with X. 100%. Like I'll trade, even if it's an unfair trade. If I need help with something and someone's willing to help me, I will. Any knowledge I have, I'm willing to give out. But that's the biggest thing I would say is like, yeah, exactly what you said. Don't kill yourself too much about trying to figure out every area of the business. Get really good at what you need to be good at, and then like either pay people to do the easy or the other stuff, or like just pay someone to help you learn how to fast track to get good at something. I've made that mistake, and I guess it's like useful now. Like you said, video editing and photography and all that stuff, camera stuff. Like I could have asked a couple people that I know for advice, but I just never did, and I kind of figured it out on my own. It's cool because I can do it on my own now, but I definitely could have done it faster. Yeah. And if I would have planned out, like maybe, like you said, like fast track a course or like pay like a whatever. And I learned this from programming, coding. I worked for 2 years trying to learn how to code, and it didn't click up until I took a 3-month course, the Florida Full Stack. I was helping the teacher teach, but I was also absorbing that information. And when sitting in the class, like a month in, when we reviewed all the stuff that I had been doing for the past 2 years, I was like, this makes so much sense because this guy is so smart, and I have like everything. Yeah. Like if Mike wants to go start a podcast now, I can tell, and people have asked me this too, hey bro, what do I need for a podcast? And I have a link list of stuff I can send them. And that took me probably weeks on YouTube to figure out like, what chords do I need? Why is this mic not working? And biggest regret, or not even regret, but I guess it's worth it now. But what if I would go back in time, I would change it, is just ask people for help. They're more than likely they're willing to help you, especially if they're not like super famous,
too big, or anything like that. Yeah, for sure. No, I guess that's one of my biggest regrets. Unique connections on life. Because I'm like on my past ways, it was just like, oh, you could do it on your own, and always that have mentality, like I want to do things for myself, just because people slow me down. That's one of the things that I used to like think. But you'll do so much better, like having like help from somebody else. And
we're still young. Like I don't want to say this like me and Mike are sitting at our deathbed, like looking back. It's only been 5 years for myself of doing this type of stuff. Mike 5 years,
about the same
years. But just looking back, kind of like we're still climbing. We're still like on the very early stages of our life. 100%. But it's like, hey, looking back at the last couple of years, like how could we have been better? And at the end of the day, I think the biggest advantage in business is time and timing. So like when you start, it's better for you to have started yesterday. Like it's an expression, like start yesterday. And also like where you're at, like being at the right place at the right time is like very, very crucial too. Like you need to have put the time in whenever you have the idea and it's something that you want to pursue. Just start. like just do something, and then always make sure that you're available in a sense that if there's an advantage, take advantage of the timing, right? Like millionaires are made during like recessions or something. Like that's one of the sayings. Yeah. Like you have to have the time in and also have good timing. That's what I would say is like my biggest advice is like, just start now. Like we were saying, be a starter, but also be a planner, and make sure if you have opportunities, just jump on that. One of the good opportunities I've had was being able to work with LA Fitness doing these demos of our products is because, when push comes to shove, if I'm not selling a lot online or whatever, I'm able to go out and network with people in the gym community. And that was all timing because that didn't even come to my mind until I was at Crunch Fitness talking to a manager about if I can sign up to the gym early. And he told me, he's like, hey, we had a supplement guy before come in and just do samples and stuff. And he told me exactly the way the guy did it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. He's like, yeah, he just had a table. He had some water. He was filling up cups and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I never thought about doing that. And then I thought back to, I worked for another company, did the same thing, but with food. And I was like, that's a great idea. I can go out there. At the time I had to pay, but now I'm with LA Fitness and other gyms don't make me pay. And it's like, it's free. I get to advertise. The members get free supplements. They get free pre-workout. They get free shit whenever I give out free stuff. And it's a win-win. Strategic partnering with people too is another thing, right? Like partnering with the right type of people. You've done it with gyms and stuff and whatnot.
100%, man. I agree. You need the people.
Yeah, people. It's like go. Like you said, you can go faster alone, but you can go further together. But the biggest thing I would say is like just be careful who you involve yourself with, because there's a lot of like people that are like kind of scumbags out there nowadays. Maybe I'll ask you this question: How do you vet someone from like being a good person? Just like Mike, like how do you know that someone's a good person?
Just to see them with their intentions, man. If I feel like they have expectations or they want me to do something, or like looking into what they're getting from me, like what they're getting from me, talking to me or spending the time with me, or just like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, like if they're receiving something from me and like they're hesitant about it or things like that, that doesn't give me a good vibe. If they have expectations of time, of money, and things like that, it doesn't give me like a good bites into the person. Like if you're hanging out with me and you see my value and you believe into what I'm doing without any expectations, that's kind of like my bet of like, okay, this is a really good person. Probably if they see my potential, they like what I'm doing, they support me. It doesn't mean they have to be with money or with their time as well, or little things. Just being around on my environment, like that's more than enough. If you don't have expectation, like huge expectation from me, and you having like looking for a return of myself, that just already give me a good vibe.
Yeah, I think I'll tell you a little secret, bro. I'll tell people a secret out there. Anyone who listens to this podcast is a guy that I don't know who he is or what this was, but it was from something, and he was talking about how he was I think it was Robert De Niro. Okay, the actor Robert De Niro. I think that he had this conversation on a podcast. He was saying, before I knew this movie script was gonna hit big, like before I knew like, okay, they're about to buy this thing and I'm about to make, let's just say $10 million. I'm going to go out to all my people around me. And I'm going to ask each one of them for $5,000 so that most people are going to say no. But if one of them says yes, when I hit big, everyone else around me that said no for the $5,000, I knew I was going to get 10 million. If they ask me for money, I'm saying, no, I just asked you for $5,000 like a month ago, right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if does that make sense? Does it make sense to you? Like let's say you knew you were about to win the lottery, right? Mm-hmm. You would go out and you would ask me, say, Matt, bro, I need $5,000, bro. I'm like, I need to pay my house, even though you knew you were going to win the lottery. And if I said, Mike, bro, I don't have the money, but here's $5,000. Here's what I have. Yeah. Then when Mike wins the lottery, Mike's going to say, bro, you blessed me. I didn't need the money. I knew I was fine. I was testing you in a way. And I don't mean to go out and test people, but use like like you'll know in a way if someone's a good person or a bad person if you ask them to do something small or whatever, or test them in a way to where if they fail like the test, like Mike, for example, if Mike and I were like, hey bro, we're gonna do this training, we're gonna do this, and I hit Mike up and I say, Mike bro, let's do this, and you're like making excuses for why you can't or why you won't, or hey bro, I can't do this, or hey man, we said we were going to do the marathon in December, but all this and this and this is why I can't do it. Like for example, you could have made excuses why I couldn't do the marathon. Oh bro, I got to graduate the next day. Yeah. But instead, people that I feel like are good for my circle is like, if I ask you to do something with me or for me and you do it and you do it good, I'll return everything for you. Like for example, like the type of thing like, who's going to come pick me up at 2 a.m. if they hear my phone call, and who's going to look at the phone and put it down? Yeah. Because I know that if Mike calls me at 2 a.m. and I'm in my bed and he says, bro, or if he sends me a text, like, bro, I'm stuck on 95. Can you come pick me up? Like, I don't care. I'll go pick Mike up. I'll go pick Annika up. I'll go pick Lawrence up. I'll go pick up any other of my friends that are my close circle. I'll pick anybody up. I'm like that. But there's some people that will be like, at a party or something, and you're like, hey bro, I'm stuck on 95. Like, can you come help me? And they'll look at their phone, they just put it back in their pocket. Like there's people like that out there. You know what I mean? So don't test people like in a malicious way, but just be clear about someone's intentions. Someone's word means a lot too. Is like, if you know that someone's going to do something for you, or do something with you, and they follow through, a lot of times that's a good person.
Yeah.
Or even if they fail, even if Mike was like, bro, I want to do this marathon, I'm going to run, but I'm not going to finish, bro. I've only done, I did a run the other day and mile 15, bro, I collapsed, but you're like, I'm still going to try. Like, that's a good person. Like, even if they can't reach your expectations but they try and they fail, that's how you know you have a good friend. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good point. People can try that. But it's also like you're looking to like have expectations on people, and that's something like I try not to do too much. Mm-hmm. First, I keep my circle small. I don't really have that many friends and that's just the way that I try to approach life, like just how it is. But like the friends that I have, I don't have any expectation from that. Mm-hmm. Or even my family members, I don't really have any expectation from of course, like being respectful, like when they're to me, like being respectful to me, and that's those type of things that are normal expectations. But like, I don't expect from you like money, or like, oh, you need to do this for me, or if I fall and I need help, I'm not expecting you to help me, because I understand you will have your conditions. Like, it kind of like put you in that situation that you expecting from people.
Yeah,
you seem like true. Okay, you probably like there's sometimes like what that example, like the Robin De Niro, like, oh, he was asking for money, like he needed like stuff, but like why people would like need to help you, they're all going through their own troubles,
That's
so
right.
like you had a good friend, but like, hey, like, oh man, like I cannot really give you that money, because even if I had it, just like I need it for myself and stuff like that. Oh, if it's not for something important, I'm sure a good friend will try to help you, but like still they're gonna be on their own struggle,
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's what I thought, like myself, I try to base it on expectations, like, okay, like how much you taking from me, and how much you like, like need it, or things like that.
Yeah, I don't want to say I have expectations from anybody. Like if I mean more of like, it's kind of tough. I don't know how I'm trying to explain it. But and the Robert De Niro thing was more like for advice for anybody out there, because it's funny, because like if all of a sudden I win the lottery tomorrow and I win $1 billion, I'm gonna have people that I haven't talked to in years. Yeah. Bro, how have you been? My friend, like, oh, bro, I love water buffalo. Like, bro, let me buy some supplements, because they just found out I won $1 million or $1 billion, whatever. Yeah. Like, people, and that's the thing I mean when looking out for friends, is like, I don't expect anything from anybody. Like, I'm sure there's been times where, shit has happened and I thought someone was going to do something and they couldn't follow through. My expectations for people are low, but when people do stuff and I can tell that their intentions are there, that's when I know like someone's a good friend, right? Like, for example, I have a friend of mine, his name's Christian. He lives like he lives in, what's it called? Not Black Diamond, but the one next to it.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I don't know.
I was moving the pool table, and I know you were busy at work or whatever, but he didn't have to help me, bro. I was desperate. Like, we were literally there, like, trying to hold this pool table above my head, and I had nobody to call. And I called him. I said, bro, would you mind, like, coming here? I'll pay you, like, whatever. Bro, the kid doesn't have a car, and I forgot. He rode his bike to my house to help me out. Like, that's a good friend. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how I know that, like, at the end of the day, if he ever was like, Matt, bro, you know, like, fuck, man, I'm broke down, whatever. Like, but I'm in Orlando, bro. Like, I don't have anybody, and I had the means to get there. Like, I would help him, and that has nothing to do with him helping me first. It's just that's kind of like the person I am. Is like once someone shows me that they're legit, and I think with you was more like we said we were gonna do the triathlon together, and we did it. We did the Olympic triathlon. Like that was the point where I was like, all right, this guy's like a good dude. I've known him for a little while. Like I've known Mike for a long time, just not personally. But when we did that, I knew I was like, all right, Mike is somebody that I can rely and like put my energy towards. I've had people tell me shit about, bro, let's train, let's work out. Like you're going to be my new training partner, this and that. And we'll go work out one day. And then the next day I'm like, hey bro, you up to work out? And oh man, you know, I fucking this. And then the next day, hey bro, you should want to go to the gym. Oh fuck bro, I'm out of town, this and that. And then like, I don't hear from them. Then a year later, they're break up with their girlfriend. And then they're like, bro, I need to get back into the gym, bro. Let's train. It's like those type of people. Those are the people who should stay kind of far away from. Also, just generic advice, anyone out there. I've heard this before, and it was from Patrick Bet-David too. I'm not trying to steal his shit, but it's a good point. Anybody out there that's from man to man, anyone out there that can't get women and that are almost like girl worshipers is not somebody you want in your circle because they'll trade you for a woman in an instant.
Yeah, for sure.
As much as I love my girlfriend, Mike, you have your wife. I will never. There's always a separation between friends and girlfriends, right? Or friends and wives, friends and this. Yeah. There's a different type of commitment to people, but I would never like put somebody else's life or not life, but I guess life. I've heard stories of people turning on other people for business and getting people out of business because of girls and this and that and money and fucking up people's lives because of women. That's another piece of advice is that if you're trying to look for friends or people that be in your circle and they're like obsessed with the opposite sex, if you're a girl, a guy, if you're a guy, it's a girl, then that's not somebody you want to be around because they'll trade you. There's a lot of men out there that'll trade you for a fucking girl. A lot of men out there that'll go sleep with your girl too. You know, that type of stuff. People like that stay far away from them.
Yeah, and it's just not our vibe. Like we don't focus on that. Like we have a different perspective on that sense, and that's something that we can talk about. Like on another podcast, just like our perspective on dating and stuff like that. But and I think we did a little bit, but not in this sense. But it can also translate to other aspects of life, and I think you mentioned it, like people putting down on business, but not just of women, but those kind of friendships that like kind of like have you as a friend, but like kind of push you down to like overextend themselves, like with other people or on a business. Like, okay, I'm gonna have this guy next to me just because I can kind of like push on a little, lower the self-esteem a little bit just to put me in a higher spot and stuff like that. And I have had friends like that, and it's just like it's annoying, and it's just people that you need to cut off, you know. Yeah, maybe like they make like a little joke, like, oh no, like. Like this guy has a small dick or something, like I don't know, whatever, like exactly the first shit.
No, that's something me and you never do. I don't do that with any of my friends either. It's like I never put people down. I know what you're talking about. I've been around people like that before, and I have acquaintances. I don't like to call them friends that are like that too. Is like they'll say stuff even if you're like better than them. At something, they'll find a way. And it's been a lot with the working out too. People that don't work out, they're like, oh, look at this guy. Look at this Mr. Protein Man over here and shit. I'm like, dude, like, I know you want to work out. I know you want to be in shape. You know what I'm saying? People are always like that shit. Like another, and the new thing now is like, there's some people out there, since I've been running and shit, that people are like, oh, bro, you're going to lose all your gains, bro. Like, oh, you're going to get small, bro. And I'm okay, whatever. Like, you know, people like that. You're right, bro. People that make like small, snarky comments, like just shit like that is that's a lot of times because they're like jealous and shit. Jealous people, stay away from jealous people.
Yeah, sometimes it's not even like I like to think they don't even do it on purpose. It's just like they're what they are, bro. They're like that, and just like it's like a little bit of hater, you know.
Yeah, stay away from haters too. I don't think me and Mike have ever had a conversation bad about other people.
there's no need, man. I'm just focusing,
I try to stay away from that. I have friends that like to kind of, I don't know if they like to gossip, but they like to talk about other people. I just try to, when people ask me, they're like, hey, did you hear about this? I'm like, oh, bro, I don't know. Even if I know, I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. Like, it's none of your business. That's another red flag, bro. If you want to get into business with somebody and they're like gossiping and talking shit about other people, stay far away from people. I don't give that pass to men. I know women gossip by nature, so maybe give them a pass to that. But stay far away from gossipers. They're fucking trouble.
Yeah.
So, but I think it was a good podcast, bro. I had a lot of fun talking about things. Anything else you want to say?
No, just cue of action to people. Just put yourself out there. Start doing things. Make your fair sale in the business, and put any idea into action, man. Just as a first thing, man. Get that first customer and get that first client and get your business rolling.
Let me ask you one more thing. Is that cool?
Yep.
Your first client, how good did that feel?
It actually feels good. If I count like my first client, it was somebody that I did for free. And I like to take like many new personal trainers, so many people that come to the location that I'm at and trying to grow their own business side, and ask me how did I do it, and I just tell them like, hey, I started like training people for free, like like. People need to see you busy. Like, okay, you cannot be out there saying that you're a personal trainer without any clients. It's not, they're not gonna take you any serious. So, couple people started training for free, give them good results or giving them that good bite. People started seeing me on the gyms and on Instagram, my advertisement and stuff. Like, okay, this guy's training this, he's doing this exercise, and then from there I got my first client, like very first paid client that felt good, man. You know, it's kind of even like I like to say like personal training is not in the job as it or the career as it is not only personal training, but it's also a sales. You're selling yourself. You're selling a service that you provide them. So it's kind of scary at that first, like, oh, okay, like the pitch or the pricing that you're gonna charge. So it's kind of like scary, and it feel great, man. Like when you throw your price and somebody give you a good feedback, like, okay, let's do it. It's a reasonable and stuff like that. It feel good. It feel good.
Yeah, it feels good, bro. I remember the first person that, because I used to, with Water Buffalo, this is a Water Buffalo training method. That's what it started off, was an online training application. We could log in and look at workouts and different shit. But yeah, the first person that bought it that I didn't know was like the first, I think I had 100 users at one point on there, which is like pretty good for like just myself. And there was a kid, his name is Anthony McIntosh. I still talk to him nowadays. He let me borrow his gun for a while. He's a good guy. He's friends with Lawrence. I didn't know him though. I had no idea who he was. And he bought like the whole course. And at the time it was like $200. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, man.
And we became friends. But that felt good. That was like the first like, wow, I'm actually like making some money off of this. I was like, at the time, $200 to me, I was like in college. I was like, damn, this is nice. Yeah. And it was really like great. And then obviously with Buff Sauce and B3, like, people saying that they really like it and they use it every day and like it helps them and stuff is like it's nice. It's a good feeling,
man. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. It's a good feeling for anything. Now like helping my girlfriend do some photography stuff, and we have some smaller brands that have done similar products to Buff Sauce, had some CBD brands. Like they came back that we have like another thing we're doing with them, and they're like, you did so good the first time, and everyone loves like the way it looks, and people say it's so creative. Is like, it's such a good feeling to have, and it's even more impactful for someone like you because you're actually like training people, and like you're every day with them, and I'm sure people have told you like you're changing my life and this stuff like that. That 100%. Feels good.
Yeah, that feels good. 100%. Like you're providing value at the end of the day. That's very rewarding. Yeah. It feels good.
Feels good, bro.
What about, I wanted to ask you, like, before Water Buffalo, you have any other business ideas that you never fall through, that you kind of like started, but, it wasn't the thing, or Water Buffalo was always the first?
So going back to this whole thing about like this training thing, I used to have and it's, I don't know. It's, I think I sit here and just like in pure humbleness, I think about it. I'm like, damn, I should do it because it's enjoyable and it's fun, but my life is in a different I'm in a different position right now in terms of like what I have the time and the efforts to do. Before I had started Water Buffalo, the thing I did was, bro, I remember I was I was working for the mall, and I was in such an area of my life. I was like so sad for some reason, bro. It was depressing. I would ride to the stupid ass mall on my little scooter in Gainesville, and I was going through some shit. Okay. I guess I could say it. I was going through some shit with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and it was like there was something that was going on between us. I won't say like the details, but it put me in like I was always angry mood. Like I was just so sad and like just down on life type of thing. 19 years old in college, like I was fine. Nothing was gonna happen to me, but in my mind, I was like. That's when I started to pick up boxing again too. I was like so angry, bro. And I said for 1 month or 2 months or whatever it was, I literally sat down, bro, and I wrote like, I think, I don't even know. I think like 40,000 or 50,000 words, and I called it like Old School Matt's like workout, like what was it? Workout and something like encyclopedia or something, bro. It was nuts. Okay. And I'll send it to you. I still have it. People still get it. That's the kind of how like I started my Instagram was like I sent this to like I think a couple hundred people, and it was like a diary of like my workout plan and what to eat and all this shit. I forget about it sometimes. Okay. That's what started like that's what started Water Buffalo. But that was like the business before. But I didn't make any money off of it, bro. I just did it for free. I had a Google Doc. And it was like a literally like, and I was so into bodybuilding and stuff like that at the time. So I was very knowledgeable, and I still have that knowledge. But at the time I was so obsessed with like, even like steroids and like supplements and like angles for workouts to hit different body parts. And that was that was the first thing I started. Before then, nothing. That was like the first thing. Okay. That was like the prelim to like wanting to do something in this world. And, it just jump-started a bunch of crazy random stuff that hopefully one day it works out. I know it'll work out one day, but that was it.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, I went off on a tangent, bro, because I'm thinking about it now. I'll show you after we get off the podcast.
Let's go.
But all right, guys, we got to go. We're going to go for a run. We'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching this podcast. Old School Matt, Mike DeCriscio, Mike Workouts.
Hey guys, thank you guys for checking out this video. Make sure to go check out all of our other podcasts. Buffalo Barbecues, our Buffalo Workouts, and also a slew of other things, including challenges and whatnot. So make sure to check out all of these different things. Thank you guys for watching. I am Old School Matt here, and this is Water Buffalo TM. Peace.